Welcome to Fearless in Faith, the podcast where we explore real stories of faith, courage, and hope that remind us of God's unshakable promises. I'm your host, Esther, and I am so honored to have you with us today. Life can sometimes feel like an uphill battle, uncertain, overwhelming, and at times deeply painful. Yet it is in these moments that faith becomes not just an anchor, but a lifeline. Today's episode is called Faith That Moves Mountains, Trusting God in the Darkest Valley. It's a reminder that even when life seems at its darkest, God's light and love are never far away. We're diving into a story that embodies resilience, trust, and unwavering hope. Our guest, Naomi Phillips, is a mother whose life took an unexpected turn when her son, Daniel, was diagnosed with a life-threatening chronic illness at just 6 months old. From hospital rooms to sleepless nights filled with prayers, Naomi has faced challenges that would shake anyone to their core. Yet, through it all, she has experienced the presence of God in ways that have transformed her life and deepened her faith. In today's episode, Naomi will share her journey, the heartbreak, the hope, the small miracles, and the mountain-moving faith that has sustained her family through the darkest valleys. Whether you're a parent navigating the complexities of caring for a child or someone walking through your own valley of uncertainty, I believe Naomi's story will speak to your heart and remind you of God's power to carry us through anything. Naomi, I am so grateful to have you on the show today. Your story is a testament to God's grace and the strength we can find in Him during life's toughest challenges. Welcome to Fearless in Faith.
Thank you so much, Esther. It's a blessing to be here, and I pray that what I share today will encourage someone to hold on to God no matter what they're going through.
Naomi, your story is a beacon of hope for so many, and I'm honored to have you share it with us. Let's begin by talking about the early days. When did you first discover your child's condition, and how did it impact your family?
It all began when my son Daniel was just 6 months old. We thought we were going in for a routine checkup, but instead we were met with words that shattered our world. Congenital heart defect, life-threatening, and multiple surgeries. I remember holding Daniel so tightly in that hospital room, my mind racing with questions. Why him? Why us? How are we going to survive this? It felt like our whole world had turned upside down in an instant. The first few weeks after his diagnosis were a blur of emotions: fear, anger, confusion, and so much heartbreak. Every time I looked at my baby, I felt an overwhelming sense of helplessness. I wanted to protect him, but there was nothing I could do to take away his pain or change his reality. I spent so many nights sitting by his crib, watching him breathe, and crying out to God. My prayers were raw and desperate. God, why is this happening? Please don't let my baby suffer. There were moments I felt like God was silent, and I began to wonder if He was even there. Everything changed the night before Daniel's first major surgery. I was sitting alone in the hospital room, holding his tiny hand and praying through tears. I was terrified of losing him, terrified of what lay ahead. In that moment, I remember saying, God, I can't do this. I don't have the strength. And then something incredible happened. I felt a peace come over me, a peace that I can't explain. It was as if God Himself was sitting beside me, whispering, I've got him. I've got you. It didn't take away my fear completely, but it gave me the strength to keep going. For the first time, I truly believed that we were not alone in this. From that point on, I started to see God's hand at work in ways I had never noticed before. During Daniel's first surgery, the doctors prepared us for the worst, but against all odds, he pulled through. Not only that, but his recovery was quicker than anyone expected. The medical team called it remarkable. I called it a miracle. There was also the time when we couldn't afford a critical treatment, and an anonymous donor stepped forward to cover the entire cost. It felt like God was showing us again and again that He was with us. But it wasn't just the big moments that reminded me of God's presence. It was the small ones too. I remember one particularly hard day when Daniel was hooked up to multiple machines and I was feeling so overwhelmed. Out of nowhere, he gave me the biggest smile as if to say, "Mom, it's going to be okay." That smile felt like a gift from God, or the nurse who stayed past her shift just to sit with me and pray. Those small acts of kindness were like breadcrumbs, leading me back to the truth that God was walking with us every step of the way. This journey has taught me so much about faith. I used to think faith meant being fearless and strong all the time, but I've learned that faith is about trusting God even when you're terrified. It's about believing that He is good even when life doesn't feel good. It's about surrendering to Him even when you don't understand His plan. One of the biggest lessons I've learned is that God doesn't always move the mountains in front of us the way we expect. Sometimes the mountains He moves are the ones inside of us, our fear, our doubt, our need for control. Through this journey, God has taught me to let go and trust Him completely. I've had to learn that it's okay not to have all the answers because He is the answer. I've also learned to find joy in the small victories. Every smile from Daniel, every milestone he reaches, feels like a miracle. It's taught me to live with gratitude and to cherish the moments we have, no matter how hard the days might be. To anyone listening who is walking through their own valley, I want to say this: it's okay to feel scared, angry, or overwhelmed. God can handle your emotions, but don't give up. Hold on to His promises even when you can't see the way forward. Look for His hand in the little things, a kind word, an unexpected blessing, or a moment of peace in the chaos. And remember, the valley isn't your destination. It's just a part of the journey. God is leading you through it to something greater. Even when it feels like you can't take another step, trust that He is carrying you. I've seen it in my own life time and time again. He is faithful. This journey hasn't been easy, but it has been filled with God's grace, and for that, I am forever grateful.
Naomi, you've shown us what it means to have a faith that moves mountains. How has this journey shaped your understanding of what that looks like?
I've learned that sometimes the mountains God moves aren't the ones in front of us, but the ones within us: fear, doubt, and unbelief. Through this journey, God has taught me to rely on Him completely, to let go of control, and to trust His timing and plan. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it. And while Daniel's condition is still a challenge, I know that God has already moved so many mountains for us, and I trust He will continue to do so.
Naomi, thank you for sharing your story and your heart with us today. Your journey is a beautiful reminder of God's faithfulness, even in life's hardest moments.
Thank you, Esther. It's been an honor to share, and I pray that my story encourages someone to hold on to God no matter what they're facing.
Naomi, thank you so much for sharing your powerful story with us today. Your journey is a beautiful reminder of what it means to trust God in the valleys of life. Your honesty, courage, and unwavering faith are truly inspiring, and I know that your testimony will resonate with so many people who are navigating their own challenges. As I reflect on Naomi's story, I'm reminded of Psalm 25:4. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. This verse is a promise that no matter how deep or dark the valley may seem, God's presence is with us, guiding and comforting us every step of the way. Just as Naomi found peace and strength in God's promises, we too can cling to the truth that He will never leave us nor forsake us. Today's episode is a powerful reminder that faith doesn't mean we'll never face hardships. It doesn't mean the absence of pain, fear, or uncertainty. Instead, faith means trusting God in the midst of those challenges, knowing that He is working all things together for our good, even when we can't see it. If you're listening today and you feel like you're walking through a valley, whether it's a health crisis, a loss, or simply the weight of life, I want you to remember Naomi's words. The valley is not your destination. It's part of the journey. Hold on to the truth that God is walking with you, carrying you when you feel too weak to continue, and leading you toward hope, healing, and restoration. Before we close, I want to encourage you to take a moment to reflect on how God has been present in your own life. Maybe it's through the kindness of a stranger, an answered prayer, or even just the strength to get through one more day. His love is in the details, and His faithfulness is unshakable. If Naomi's story has touched your heart today, share it with someone who needs encouragement. Let them know that they're not alone and that God is with them, even in the darkest valleys. And if you'd like to connect with us, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and join us for more stories of faith, courage, and hope in the weeks to come. Thank you for joining us for this heartfelt episode of Fearless in Faith. May you walk away feeling encouraged, uplifted, and reminded of God's unwavering presence in your life. And as always, stay fearless in faith.